Hey again, everybody. I'm recording this in real time, a minute or less after I just recorded Johnny G against Cousin. If you guys want to follow along with the top four of this tournament, you should go back and watch that set first, so you know what's going on. But the winner of that set, that I'm not going to spoil here, is going to play against the winner of this set in the finals. And top two in Pokemon Perfect Open tournaments qualify for our championship tournament at the end of the year. You guys probably know that by now. Let's get into it. It is Kerts and Altina. I mean, Altina is the way that I always pronounce that, but I know the character. It's from the Trails in the Sky series, the Legend of Heroes series, rather. The character it's pronounced Altina, but it just doesn't roll off my tongue like that. But anyway, you should know both these guys. They're both pretty well known in the ADV community. It's a best of three. They're playing for a spot in the championship tour. Let's go. Kerts and Altina, best of three. Kerts on the bottom, Altina on the top. T-Tar and Kuhn lead respectively, and there's gonna be a switch. Here is the Cloyster switch in for Kerts. Little tricky against the Kuhn. I mean, it can boom on it, but I mean, the Kuhn can very quickly get out of control with boosts. It can sub. I don't know. Cloyster's not usually a great switch in this situation. He does get a boom off, but man, is that underwhelming. 56%, the best that he's going to do. So he trades the Cloyster for one layer spikes, which is obviously valuable, and some damage, significant damage, but not like world-beating damage on the Kuhn. I don't know that I love that. I think I kind of prefer it from Altina's position, especially knowing that Altina does have a spinner in the back, and he makes this prediction sniping the Gengar or Psychic. Man, this is all Altina early on, and he's going to call out the boom. So he calls out the Gengar in the first place by going Psychic instead of Spin, and then he calls out the boom turn by going Scarm and letting it blow up into that instead of the Doll. Just these crucial turns, these like 50-50-ish turns with predictions. It's been all Altina, and he is just miles ahead very, very early on in this game. I mean, we're just now hitting turn 10, and I mean, Altina is just, he's got the Toxic on the tower, he's got two dead Mons on the other side. It's a beating. I mean, he disrupts the Focus Punch here with Drill Peck to do more damage and get the Toxic going and get more lefties. This is a beating. He even gets his own layer of spikes down, because why not? But Kerts is going to be hard-pressed, I think, to come back in this game. The kind of team that Kerts is using, whether it's like a Jolteon Spike Stack, I mean, which usually uses Scarms. This is like a Cloyster variant, basically, of like a Jolteon Spike Stack, a Jolteon offense, whatever you want to call it. Basically, these kind of teams do not play well from behind. They need to have the tempo, control the tempo, keep the tempo. They need to just attack, 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 always be in control of the game. Once they get behind, it's very difficult for them to come back. Sometimes Gengar can just sweep at the end. Obviously, that's not going to happen in this game since Gengar died pretty early on. There are random things Kerts could have, like his own Kuhn that just goes wild, or an Agilogross on the back that just sweeps, or something like that. But he's really, really far behind, and he lost his spikes because a rapid spin got off that Kerts couldn't do anything to prevent because his Ghost is dead. This is just very one-sided right now. Kert's not ready to concede. He might have something in the back, and he's not ready to show what he has in the back. He doubles to Pert here. It might just be a Protect turn. Nope, he gets what he wants. He gets the Bliss, so some kind of off Pert here. Earthquake, Ice Beam. He's got to make a prediction here, and he's got to just get there. Like right there with the Earthquake, he needed to just crit that damn Kuhn, but didn't get it. And Kuhn, if it has Rest, which I don't think it... just kidding. Which it totally is going to have, is going to go for that here. And it is a back meta, so with a really good sequence of nonsense, immediate attack raise, and then a crit or whatever, if it's a Jilla meta, maybe he can get there. He does get the immediate attack raise. He's trapped by Magneton here. T-Wave, well, that's unfortunate because we know he doesn't have Lum. We've already seen the lefties, so he's going to be stuck with that T-Wave unless this is a Rest meta, which is like not a thing. There's an Earthquake and a mash for the kill, so alright, and an attack raise, so I mean, Kert's doing something, but it's really too little too late. It would have to be like a mixed Mence here that Fire Blasts and misses. If he's got Earthquake, sucks to suck, and he does have Earthquake, so I think, I mean, Kert's made it closer than it was, but he was just in too big of a hole. It's just too little too late. I think Altina is going to take this one pretty comfortably. Certainly Kerts' prerogative to play it out. I don't think he's absolutely 100% dead. There are things that can happen here, but all sorts of nonsense would be required to dig Kerts out of this game. And stranger things have happened, but looking like a comfortable Altina victory from where we stand right now. Second layer of spikes, why not? Third layer of spikes, why not? I mean, we have a tie, air quotes, 3-3, so I guess this game's close now and stuff. But it's really not. Altina way ahead. There's the Earthquake kill that breaks the tie real quick, 3-2. And now Swampert has to come on the 3 layers of spikes. That's blah, blah, blah. Doesn't even survive the Earthquake. That's not going to do it. Jolteon here, even if it did hypothetically have HP Ice, yeah, it beats the Mence. Yeah, it beats the Suku. Man, I can't do it tonight. It would have beaten with HP Ice the Mence and the Coon. But it loses pretty handily to this Bliss. So this just wasn't going to happen here. He even got the power, but like I said, in a hypothetical world, he gets the power and he gets the full power there. It just wouldn't be enough because he can't beat the Bliss. He could beat the Coon, he could beat the Mence if he gets luck, but he still can't beat the Bliss. The hole was just too big. Altina played too well early on and just got the predictions right on the crucial early turns, and Kerts just could not dig himself out of it. Valiant effort, didn't concede, made a little bit of a push at the end, but too little too late, and Altina takes game 1. But, as you guys know, it's a best of 3, so let's go ahead to game 2 and see what happens. Altina can either win the set or Kerts can force a game 3. So, we have a Jinx appearance, and it's going to be an immediate HP Fire against the lead meta on the top. And that's going to be an immediate Earthquake, an immediate KO, an immediate Dugtrio, and an immediate Immediacy. We've got ourselves a trade, 5-5, and now the T-Tar comes in. That's also going to get Earthquaked. Oopsie daisies, that hurt. And now the Arrow pulls back, thinking that something that's immune to Earthquake is going to come in, which is fairly obvious, and that is what happens. So there's Zapdos. And interesting that he goes Spikes there. I mean, you can't blame him, but he could have caught the T-Tar there potentially. Well, he'll catch him here instead. Critical hit there didn't matter if that is what it probably is, which is HP Bug. So Altina, once again, with that early lead, he made a bold prediction of the Arrow, and it paid off. That actually could be bad, though. If it's a non-rest, non-refresh pert, which is most perts at this point, Will-O-Wisp is definitely not where he wants to be. If he just doesn't have a good switch into Gar, then maybe Kerts can use that to his advantage and do some work here. It's interesting. He's got a Bliss, though, so I don't know why he let the Swampert take the Will-O-Wisp. Maybe he was worried about a double switch or some kind of shenanigans, or maybe he's got Heal Bell, but I don't know. I mean, that makes me think that the Swampert does have Refresh, because why would he allow that to happen when he's got a Bliss if it's something that he could have easily prevented? I guess we'll find out the answer to that a little later, but here's a BP. The Gengar on the Fori may or may not have Fire Punch. Nobody just goes Will-O-Wisp again. He's unluckily going to miss Tar, which I think is probably a Pursuit Tar since it's paired with Fori, but he doesn't go for Pursuit here. That's even worse. He goes Ice Beam as Dugtrio switches in. That guy's out of here. Altina is just out-predicting Kerts on critical turns. I mean, that's really just been, if you could summarize these games so far in one line, in one very simple, abridged version of what happened here. On the critical turns of each game, the really big, this kind of decides who's way ahead or not ahead turns, Altina's just out-predicted him. It's happened in both games, and, I mean, he deserves to win, and it's looking like he's going to win. He's certainly ahead. This game, again, is not over, but it's hard to argue that Altina is not comfortably ahead right now. We'll see. There's a soft-boiled from Bliss. Earthquake Retaliation, 30%. That's not going to do it. He's going to need a Focus Punch or a Freeze or something. The 30% Earthquakes, even with a crit, are just not going to do enough. Not going to get the job done. There's Altina playing around a Boom from the Gar that doesn't come. He goes Will-O-Wisp again, but Swampert is already burnt from before. There's the pull back to his own Pert. And there is the Surf, which, yeah, it's the only thing he's shown. I wonder if it's a mono Pert on the other side for Altina. That would make sense, because, yeah, I expect him to have Refresh. There's no way that he lets the Swampert eat the Will-O-Wisp unless it has Refresh. Not when he's got a Blissey in the back, so I think the fact that it had Refresh and was a mono Pert there was something that Kerts should have known, and maybe he did know, but I mean, what does that change at this point? Kerts is at a world of hurt. He seems to have 3 Pokemon remaining that can't beat Blissey. I mean, in theory, Gengar could boom on it, but I mean, what does that even leave you at this point with how in shambles Kerts' team is? Not to mention, if Altina really cared about that, he would never let it happen anyway. There's the Zapdos. Bliss comes in. Toxic, sure. I don't know what he would need to happen here. I mean, even a crit Thunderbolt would be not even close to enough. 17% is what a non-crit did. So a crit does 34. Yeehaw. Not going to get the job done. Here is Fortress. I mean, that doesn't like Thunderbolts, but this seems so over to me. It just... Sorry, Kerts, but I mean, you're not coming back in this game. He's fighting a good fight. He gets another good Thunderbolt off, and he gets a Para off. So, I mean, progress, I guess, but there's just no way, man. I feel like this is deja vu. I feel like I just said this last game, but bottom line here is that Kerts can't actually beat the Bliss. He could blow up on it with the Gar, but I mean, at this point, the very weak and paralyzed Zapdos couldn't clean it up anyway. His only play there is to go for a desperation freeze with Ice Punch. He tries it. He doesn't get it. Crunch is a crit, insult to injury. One more Crunch, and we are done. A one-sided beating here as well. I feel like I casted both of these sets in under a half hour, which is unusual for two best-of-threes, but none of these four games that we watched were particularly long or particularly close. Altina is going to comfortably beat Kerts here. He simply outpredicted him on the turns that mattered. It really is as simple as that. He made bold predictions a couple of times. He went Psychic into an unrevealed Gar, which turned out to be right. He kept an Aerodactyl in against a T-Tar and clicked Earthquake. That was huge. He spun again in the previous game, even though there was a Gar on the other side. He knew what he was doing. He just Altina simply outpredicted Kerts throughout the series, and Kerts could never catch up from the early holes that he found himself in. That's pretty much the long and short of it. So it's going to set us up. I guess I could spoil it now. Again, go back and watch the other set if you've not done so already. I'm about to spoil it for you, so pause the video. It is going to be Johnny G against Altina in the finals of the Pokemon Perfect Open. Should be a good one, no matter who wins that. They're both qualified for the championship tour at the end of the year, but nevertheless, you obviously want to win the tournament as opposed to be the runner-up. When that does happen, whenever it may be, sometime this coming week, I would assume, I'll narrate it. I'll bring it to you on YouTube. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. But for now, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. I'll keep bringing you this Pokemon Perfect Tournament content, and I will see you guys in the next video.